So how do elections work in Alberta? The first step is nominations. So a candidate puts their name forward to run in an election. However, since Alberta has a party system, potential candidates must first be selected as the candidate for their party in their constituency before they would complete their nomination paperwork to submit to Elections Canada. So this means that, say for example, a candidate wants to run for the United Conservative Party or the NDP Party. If there's more than one candidate that wants, first of all, it has to be approved by the party. So there would be a process there where they would qualify candidates. But say there's more than one person that wants to run for a party, they would have a nomination vote where the party members who have memberships in that constituency would go and vote for the candidate they want to represent the party. So almost like a mini election before the election. And generally speaking, candidates do run for a party, although sometimes they run independently. And there are several parties in Alberta. Right now, there are only two parties with seats in our province, the United Conservative Party and the New Democratic Party. So once a candidate is nominated, it's time to campaign. So candidates try to convince citizens in their constituency to vote for them to be the representative. They'll tell voters policies they support or policies they don't support, changes they'd like to make, their values and experiences. Often people who run to be a member of Legislative Assembly have had a career prior, and so they'll highlight how that career or their experiences would make them a qualified candidate. And ultimately, they're telling voters the reasons why they should vote for them. And then we arrive at the election day and the voting. So citizens in a constituency will go to the polling station and vote for the candidate they wish to represent them. The candidate with the most votes in their constituency becomes the member of Legislative Assembly for that area. You can only vote in the constituency in which you live, and so often you will need to provide proof of residency. You need to be over 18 to vote, and you need to have resided in Alberta for the last 6 months. And so when you go to the polling stations, you will vote for one candidate to represent you. You don't vote for two, and it always has the candidate's name as well as the party that they represent. So how does the government get selected then? So this is how our individual MLAs get selected. But then how do we know what the government is? So Alberta is broken up into 87 constituencies, and each one will have an MLA. So once we know who the MLAs are and which party they represent, they count up the number of seats each party has. So for example, right now the United Conservative Party has 63 seats. So 63 of the constituencies have a United Conservative Party MLA. And the New Democratic Party has 24 seats. So there are 24 constituencies that have New Democratic Party candidates or MLAs that won there. And so then what they do is they look at, does one party have more than half? If so, they are a majority government. But if they don't, then it's a minority government. It means they have less than half the seats. So right now, Alberta has a UCP majority government. And that is how an MLA is elected, as well as how the government is chosen. And then also the premier is the leader of the party with the most seats. So Jason Kenney was the leader of the United Conservative Party. He runs to be an MLA. He wins his seat. And since he's the leader of that party, he becomes the premier.